And we draw 3 cards. Woof. So we're coming back here. We have Aether Gust to hold up. Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for taking the time to watch Hello Good Game. Today we are playing Mono Blue Tempo. This deck is a beast. Obviously in Ikoria we got Sea-Dasher Octopus and Pouncing Shoreshark. These cards work great together within the Mono Blue Tempo build. We've also incorporated Stonecoil Serpent, which is just general protection from Ugin and Teferi, things like that. So it's a really good deck, it's really strong, and you should have no trouble climbing rank with this quite easily. And now for those of you who don't know, Tempo is a hybrid style deck between aggro and control, where you can get out some early creatures and then pace the game with counter spells, right? Playing spells on your opponent's turn, and then just attacking on your turn, holding up your mana, counter spell on your opponent's turn, so on and so forth. And then if you don't need to counter, you can play creatures with flash, maybe other draw spells, other things at instant speed on your opponent and step when you did need to counter to drain your mana. So Tempo revolves around small, consistent attacks while stopping almost everything your opponent does as far as the archetype strategy. We are going to talk about the deck list in its entirety, breaking down each individual card. Then we'll talk about the deck strategies and synergies. How do all of those individual cards niche and work together to form a coherent archetype? Then we will break down some gameplay footage, some play lines within the new meta, different interactions, so you guys know how this deck will feel and operate against all of the other decks within the environment. And then we come full circle with my final thoughts, any deck upgrades that we would make, any just general changes, maybe some budget variants to this deck, because it is definitely not a budget build, and then things like this, our plans for the rest of the week, etc. So Mono Blue Tempo in Core Set 2021 starts out with 4 copies of Opt. This is an instant, like we're talking about. Scry 1, draw a card. Spectral Sailor times 4, Flash Flying, 1/1, pay 4, and draw a card. Stonecoil Serpent, this is an X cost, which means you can use however many mana you choose, right? Reach, Trample, Protection from Multicolored, and it enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. Onto our 2-drops, 4 copies of Brineborn Cutthroat. This is a 2/1 with Flash, and whenever you cast a spell during your opponent's turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Brineborn Cutthroat. A single copy of Negate, counter target non-creature spell. 2 copies of Quench, counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. 2 copies of Unsubstantiate, return target spell or creature to its owner's hand. Essence Capture, counter target creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on one target creature that you control. Onto our 3-drops, we had Mystical Dispute, which can be cast for the cost of 1 if it targets another blue spell, or counter target spell unless its controller pays 3 organically. 4 copies of Brazen Borrower. This has Petty Theft on it for 2. Return target non-land permanent and opponent controls to its owner's hand. And then the Borrower is a 3/1 with Flash and Flying. However, it can only block other creatures with Flying. Sea-Dasher Octopus, a 2/2 with Flash. Mutate for 2. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. The Mutate can also be cast with Flash, which is quite nice. Pouncing Shoreshark times 3. This is a 3/4 with Flash. And whenever this creature mutates, you may return target creature and opponent controls to its owner's hand. And again, we can use the mutate here via Flash, which is quite nice in certain situations. We have 2 Castle Vantresses, which we can pay 5 to scry to, and then 20 islands. We are rocking a sideboard today, playing traditional standard, which means best of 3, gaining access to our sideboard between matches. 2 copies of Grafdigger's Cage. This is a 1-cost artifact. Creature cards in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield from the graveyard, and players can't cast spells from graveyards or libraries. Shadow Spear is another legendary artifact. Equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and gains trample and lifelink. We can pay 1 on permanents. Your opponent control, lose hexproof, and indestructible until end of turn. The equip cost here is 2. 2 copies of Aether Gust, which is really quite nice and instant. Choose target spell or permanent that's red or green. Its owner puts it on top of their library or bottom. They get to choose. If it's a good spell, which normally it is, they put it to the top. Cerulean Drake times 3, 1/1 with flying. Protection from red, sacrifice Cerulean Drake, counter target spell that targets you. Disdainful Stroke, counter target spell with converted mana cost 4 or greater. 2 copies of Negate, counter target non-creature spell. We have this in our main board already, but a few extra in our sideboard. 1 copy of Thendroi Singer. This is a flash flyer, 1/3. When it enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls, it's -X, -0 until end of turn, where X is your devotion to blue. And then a single copy of Ashiok's Erasure for 4 with flash. When it enters the battlefield, exile target spell. Your opponent can't cast spells with the same name as the exiled card. And when Ashiok Erasure leaves the battlefield, return exiled card to its owner's hand. So that's the deck list, that's the sideboard. Let's break down the strategy and the synergies within the individual cards, right? How does this deck function as a whole? We kind of touched on it to begin the video here, right? Where Stonecoil Serpent does only really come into play, in my opinion, against decks like Teferi, decks like Ugin, right? Where there's other control on the battlefield and a lot of other multicolor permanents. Maybe even potentially an Uro or something like this that it can stop. However, the main focus, aside from that little addition, is playing everything on your opponent's turn. This starts out with a Spectral Sailor. Next is a Brineborn Cutthroat. If we don't cast creature spells on our opponent's end step, we're casting counter spells during their main phase or their second main phase, right? So we're holding up our mana the whole turn, using counter spells if required, like Essence Capture, like Quench and Negate. If it's not required, if he passes his turn or he plays a Growth Spiral, something that's not worth us countering, at this point we play our creatures like the Sailor, like the Cutthroat, right? Like our Sea-Dasher Octopus, the flash onto another creature at the end step, right? So we really want to make sure that we're always holding up our mana and then countering our opponent's spells that are deemed counterable, a threat to your deck. And then if you don't, you play creatures and you repeat this process, and you should be able to get more value than your opponents slowly but surely. Always having that field presence, being able to attack, and then always stopping whatever he's trying to do. If it's another aggro or mid-range deck with creatures, Pouncing Shoreshark is incredible. Bouncing your opponent's creatures back to their hand at instant speed. That's insane. If it's a control deck, we really just want to hold up the counter spells. We do hit the sideboard pretty hard within this deck. The main board is kind of spread around to deal with all of the different kind of the decks within the meta. But again, obviously this deck is tailored to play against creature decks. We have Essence Capture, we have Shoreshark, we have Brazen Borrower, which does bounce permanents, but lots of times you don't want to bounce planeswalkers. So it is creature based. If it's not a creature deck, don't worry about it. Just play them as flash bodies when you can as an aggro style deck. So if your opponent plays a creature style deck, you're playing a control style deck. If your opponent is playing a control style deck, you are playing an aggro style deck, if that makes sense, right? So if he's playing creatures, you're playing control, bouncing all the creatures, countering all the creatures. If he's playing control, now you're playing aggro, flashing in your Shoreshark, flashing in your Octopus, your Brazen Borrower on his end step, so you're always having those attackers to just smash him out. So it's kind of a dual threat here, right? And you just need to distinguish what kind of deck you're playing against first. So the first things that I like to do is draw hand. Do I have my 1-drop? Do I have my 2-drop? Do I have some counter spells, right? A Spectral Sailor, a Brineborn Cutthroat. This fills the 1-drop, 2-drop scenario absolutely perfectly. Do we have some counter spells? Do we have a Quench early game? That would be really good, right? Potentially an Essence Capture or a Negate. Mystical Dispute is also really good here. I also really love to see Sea-Dasher Octopus. This is how I know to snap keep the hand. If I have a flash creature plus my Sea-Dasher Octopus, add some counter spells, that's a perfect mix to get the game rolling. Play your creature, Octopus on top, you're attacking, you're drawing, you're countering, and then it just continues on that track from there, right? So again, good draw hand, like I just mentioned. Determine what deck your opponent is playing, and then adjust your strategy accordingly, and you should have no problem After that point, we do go into the sideboard, right? So we already know what deck our opponent's playing. Take out what's bad, put in what's good. Because you can not have to switch. You can just play that way straight out. So, for example, if our opponent has no creature spells, Essence Capture comes out. Things like this. Again, Pouncing Shoreshark can come out if there's no creature spells. If there is no sweepers, then we could maybe go wide. So take out what's bad. The first thing I do always when sideboarding is take out the things that don't work within the match. So example, the creatures. And then we put in what's good, right? Did he have non-creature spells, right? A lot of the times, if he doesn't have creatures, that means it's all non-creatures. So Negate is a good sub for this. Disdainful Stroke is a good sub for this. Maybe it's a mono red deck or something that you need protection from red. Or an expansion explosion that you need to protect yourself from. Aether Gusts, anything red or green really shuts down. Shadow Spear obliterates aggro decks with the life gain and can deal with Hexproof and Indestructible. Grafdigger's Cage shuts down all the recursion decks. No more Luris, stuff like this. Ashiok's Erasure can take down the combo decks, pull out that perfect card of theirs, whole dead deck now. And the Singer also does a very good job at shutting down some of those aggro decks, letting you survive that extra turn to get in that kill. It's great to shut down creatures with Trample, right? For example. So that's my general sideboard guide. Take out what's bad, put in what's good for the match, and you'll do better, right? Because you already have the advantage of knowing what your opponent's playing, whereas the first match you kind of had to guess and adjust on the fly. So that's the deck list. This was the sideboard guide. Before we get into today's gameplay footage, breaking down all of the interactions within the new core set 2021 meta, I want to remind you guys I'm live on YouTube every single morning, 6 a.m. Mountain Standard, and then at around 7 a.m. we do go live on Twitch for 3 to 4 hours, and then we're on Discord for the remainder of the day. Links for all of those programs are in the description below, you guys. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate your continued time and attention. Those of you supporting the channel financially, you are gods and goddesses among humanity. Thank you so much. I look forward to creating content for you forever. Take care, enjoy today's gameplay footage, and don't miss our final thoughts. Take care. Oakley dokley, playing first with a tempo deck. 3 land, 3 serpents? What? Come on, Ugin. Bring it on, baby. I really like the Stonecoil Serpent. And what we seen the other day, that reminds me of it, is Stonecoil Serpent, Emery Lurker of the Loch, yeah. Because it can play artifacts and creatures, or artifacts and enchantments, I think, from your graveyard. And that's great. No counters here, but it is great to start out with protection from multicolored. Right, just have a little bit of field presence. He's not going to be doing anything this turn either. Nothing that we need to quench anyways. It could be like a Bertha Maltese or something, but that's not really worth the quench in my opinion. So we'll just hold on. He could have a counter, on the other hand, but he'll be playing mana on his turn, which opens up our turn to play. Yeah. We want to hold the quench for his field wipe at 4, so we're free and clear. Reminder that Teferi on his 3-drop cannot bounce our Serpent. So this is great. We're in for 1. Interesting. So that is a spell we could have countered. Whenever you cast your first spell, each opponent's turn, draw a card. So he definitely wants to counter us. I don't think he has a counter spell or a shatter. He played his draw engine. He's using counter spells. To me, that says no shatter. He could do it because it's extremely high value here. But he's now missed his opportunity, missed his land drop, and we are free and clear just to push it like it's hot. Like a petty theft, we quench, stuff like this, right? Yeah, let's end our turn here. We play our opt on his end step. Three serpents is just absolutely insane. Let's take our opt. Mystical Dispute, that's absolutely perfect. Right, he has blue. At this point, we want to stop drawing land, is the only thing. Again, serpents have protection from multicolored. He could use single colored bounce spells to interrupt us. We're hitting for 7 each turn, so that's very nice. Alright, we do have trample. And he can take the draw, as far as I'm concerned, right? Down to 3. We have lethal. That's game. Let's take it to the sideboard. Against what appears to be an Azorius control. To me, that screams negate. And Pouncing Shoreshark is a no-go because he doesn't really have any creature spells, right? So I mean, potentially Ashiok's Erasure could be good to deal with like some of these counter spells. It's hard to say, right? Um yeah. I think that's the play here. What spell did he sideboard to deal with us? That's the card that we're going to want to Ashiok's Erasure. One land's not enough. We have to toss this, I think. 3's good. And he got bashed by our serpent. So maybe we toss that? No, we have to toss a land. Let's be honest. But again, if we can just have the serpent on the field, his Teferi's dead in the water. No pun intended. Yeah, so even if we can use the erasure on his Teferi, that would be exceptionally good because Teferi shuts down our particular archetype quite well, being that we're playing tempo, which revolves a lot around counter spells and playing on your opponent's turn, which with a Teferi onboard state is not an option. He's okay. We don't really have any counter non-creatures though. Essence Capture is a card we should have sideboarded out as well. That just hopped right past me. I want the Cutthroat out, I think. We do need to focus on countering Shatter the Sky. That's going to be his go-to here. Right? So maybe we hold the second Serpent for after the Shatter. He should counter this. No. Let's just go for it. It becomes a 3-3. We get the draw. Mystical Dispute. I was kind of hoping for a land there. The Dispute's not bad, but we're kind of Oh, nice. He just didn't have anything to deal with it. Perfect. We were very vulnerable there and landlocked. Potentially he was landlocked too and just didn't want to deal with it. Going first, that's awesome. Especially as a tempo deck. 3 lands, great too. Not really early game interaction is a bummer. Some really cool mid game interaction though. Hopefully he's playing blue. Kind of. I mean, we could flash our octopus in. The sailor's nice now. We've counters available, plus our sailor. He's basically dead in the water, especially if we keep drawing. And especially if he doesn't play here. Oh no. Poor guy. I think the mutate should be on the left. I always get that backwards. As long as there's... Okay, we're good. Yeah, this is game. And this is just classic blue tempo, doing blue tempo stuff. Right? Attacking, do a little bit of damage, draw a card, counter his spell. Right? Wilderness Reclamation. One of 4 copies we'll be dealing with today. And we just repeat the process over and over. We get to draw, your go. Right? Easy as that. And if he doesn't do anything, Gross Moral can hit. We don't care about that. It's the Blast Zone that could be messy. I will not be spending my mana because he could have instant speed removal. So let's just keep stacking it. Take our draw. Drawing 2 cards every single turn. And dealing 2 damage. That's the get. He's down to 10. We have a full mitt. Like, if he's playing creature, non-creature... Well, actually, he could pay 3. Potentially. But I think he'd want to drop a bigger spell. Like a Genesis Ultimatum or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which he could do. They cost 7, the ultimatums. Now he's just wondering, well, is there a counterspell, right? How many counterspells will there be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. I'm kidding. Let's take our turn. Take it nice and slow. Up to 6 land here, so maybe we can sneak a Serpent in. Oh, no, we'll just flash our Cutthroat in instead. Might toss a Serpent here. Yeah, right. So the bummer here is this is on our turn. It only costs 1, so let's just do that. Right, and now we are very vulnerable to that exact same move. I think we should just bounce this right to his hand again. Right? Once it hits the field, we can't unless it's a creature. But when it's in the air, it's still spell. Okay, so now he does get the kill here, though. It's not the worst. We're pretty far ahead already. And we have a flash attacker in again. He's not playing creatures, so let's just let's cast it for 5. Right? If he plays a creature, I'll die. Whatever he's doing, it has to be done here. He needs an expansion explosion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He does not have enough mana. So I think that's going to be a good game for us. Let's see what he's got in store. I'm sure something. We do have a flash attacker, and Serpent is an X cost. Okay, let's just take it and play the turn out. So he's doing 1 damage here. It is our turn though. But we can flash mutate onto it, which is pretty fun. And we're increasing the toughness this way. Right? He's only dealing 1 damage to it. Okay, so that's game number 1. We know we're playing against the expansion explosion wilderness reclamation deck. So the Shoreshark in this matchup is not good. The Essence Scatter is not good, right? Let's get rid of the not goods first. And now let's put in things that are good. Negate, very, very high value here. This Disdainful Stroke is also very high value. Takes out Reclamation, takes out Expansion Explosion. Ashiok's Erasure, very high value here as well. Just because he only has a few cards for us that we need to deal with. Life gain, I don't think that should be too much of a problem as long as we can get ahead and counter. And then the red or green, this also counters the Expansion Explosion. It also counters the Wilderness Reclamation, so fairly good value there as well, I think, for our sideboard. So Sterling Drake is another potential option, as it has protection from red, and then we can sack to counter something that targets us, which again would be Expansion Explosion. Let's see if we need it though. I kind of like to save 1 trick up my sleeve, right? 1 land's not enough. We do have to toss that. 2 castles. We're playing very slow here, and our opponent goes first. We have the chance to draw. We have a chance to draw a non-tapped land, which will be ideal. No, we don't get it. This could get messy just on the fact that we're playing so slow as a tempo archetype. We really need to be on the curve and at the forefront, right? Always just a little bit ahead of our opponent. Okay, this is better at least. We can work with that. No harm, no foul now. Growth Spiral, go ahead. You ramping son of a... Straight to 4. Play that Wilderness Wreck. Alright. More lands. Believe it or not, I think I'll actually take that. Cutthroat's cool. Let's pass. We can Cutthroat with an Octopus. That could be fun. And then the Wilderness Wreck here. We will Quench it as he's got only 1 mana available and save our Negate for a little later on in the game. More land, pass our turn. We have a Sailor here as well. Oof, 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 oof. Let's let it hit. It's fine. It just draws a card. Think of it this way. All it is an expensive growth spiral that comes back as a 6/6. We gotta counter it when he comes back after he's exiled cards from his grave, though, is the thing. Cutthroat, yup. We're not wasting our negate. We'll just play our Sailor instead. The Aether Gust is really good. But it just puts it to the top of his... And that just lets him replay it. We can bounce it later. Let's do the game plan like we're supposed to. Over, let's turn it to 3 instead of 1. So now he can't blast zone it. We get the draw. We go back up to 3 mana. Potentially we flash in our Borrower and we just try to aggro him out. But we're doing 5 damage and he'd be gaining 6. So now that he's exiled, we just toss this to the top of his library. He's silly not to put it there. Oh! Nice play, nice play, nice play. We set a stop before Uro gets the chance to attack, so he can't play it before his attack phase. He'll have to play it in his second main phase. We're bouncing Uro. He does still get the trigger from it entering, but we're not going to be taking damage. And he's trying to counter us when we could just simply pay for it. So he's having to double spell here. Uro is a lot to play around, admittedly. Like, it does a lot of work. Cycling a Triome. Really going for it. So now he actually can't... Oh, no, he still can. Right, so he's forced us to spend all of our mana throughout the process. Not that we could have really done much, other than just keep it in his hand. Pays for that. What does he want? Does he have a shock? Really? If he just drew shock, I'll lose my mind. So we're still getting the old situation going on here, right? Drawing our card like we're supposed to. He's got the Blast Zone ready to fire at 3, which is something that we need to get out of the way before we put in our Borrower, before we put in our other Octopus. We could... but he's got the other one steady at 1. So, let's take our draw, because it dies anyways. Let's just squeeze all the value we can. He's going to exile cards, and we're going to just immediately bounce it to his hand. So now his graveyard's empty. It's a lot to deal with. This guy and these mystical disputes. We do have a borrower at least, so we can do the stop again. But how annoying is this? Setting our stop before his attack phase. Passage is great because it goes to the grave for Uro. Let's toss it up. Yes. Yes. We need to counter this Uro. No, it's cost. He doesn't have enough. Right, he's 1 mana short from his Blast Zone. So let's make it a 3-drop instead. And please draw me something to counter this Uro. Oh, that's not it. We have 1 more borrower. Flash a borrower. Oh my lord. We are getting actually pretty lucky with these borrowers here. Oh, he doesn't have enough for his Uro. I see. I see. He needs 1 more card in the grave. And he's going to cycle a Shark Typhoon, which we cannot counter. We can bounce the Shark token, though. And we can negate a counter if he has it. Wow. This guy's got all the stops. He's really pulling it out here. We're doing good damage. We can draw a counter here. And our turn. We do have 1 more borrower to bounce it. And we have just kind of like locked him in this weird mode where he's just playing his Uro over and over and over. So this Blast Zone could be a problem. We bounce Uro. Come on, counterspell. Quench is a little late. Ending our turn. Stop's already in place. Nightpack Ambusher. Does that really pose a threat to us here? I don't really think so. We could bounce it right now and just deal with Uro. Let's hold the phone. I think just bouncing Uro is still the right play. He's opting, so Night Pack's not making the creature. Cycles the Triome. I hope he burns more of his mana. 4 mana, or even 3, so we could quench his Uro. This is clutch. He could take momentum here. That is the rest of his mana for the full turn. And we quench the explosion. So that's his whole turn. And we get to flash our Borrower in after taking damage for super duper extra lethal. And we pull a Dispute. So we just hit it, ground it out. His out was through his blast zone on all of our 3-drops, but we got to the kill before he could get to that thought, I guess. We get to play first. I think we're having pretty good luck with that. And okay, Lurrus of the Dream Den. Mystical Dispute might not be so good here. He's got a lot of low 1-drops, but what do you do? That's 3 land plus early game interaction. You gotta be pretty obsessive to mulligan this, right? Looking for your tempo draw engine through the Sea-Dasher Octopus. But, you know, some hands aren't perfect, and you just have to try to get there. I mean, we do have the interruption, which is nice, so nothing's a permanent threat, really. Jund. This is John Sack. I'm interested. We take it or he takes it. At least we keep our hand hidden from him this way. As far as Agonizing Remorse goes, that's a must counter. A lot of these small aggro decks are harder to play with the tempo decks, just because they do have the ability. Okay, perfect. They have the ability to play multiple spells per turn, which can really get hard to deal with. Now he's got a free 2-drop, or he could play a land for a 3-drop, right? Totally free and clear. Let's see what we get. Maybe? I don't know. Is Stonecoil Serpent good here? Protection from multicolor? I don't know. This is weird. The bummer is when Lurrus is played. Maybe he doesn't play a land and we can counter it. If he plays a land before his lures, we're screwed. Let's try to kill him. He's at 13. We hit for 6. Don't you dare. Oh, okay, okay. Billy's got a little spice left in him. Down to 10. We need to still snipe that Uro, or that Lurrus, sorry. I'm still focused on that last match. Yeah. Okay. Our turn. We're in for 4. Even if he plays it for 3. 1, 2, 3. If we can have protection from multicolor, the knight has to block. We'll have 2 mana left. Let's see if this Stonecoil Serpent that we kept on the deck awkwardly can be made of use. It could be the difference here. It is a dispute, so he has to have less than 3 available, so we can't counter this. He can try to play his Kroxa for 2, in which case we can counter that. We can't counter the Ghost form, nor do we want to. We have lethal next turn. Or close to. Yeah, we want to counter this, though. Down to 2, he goes up to 5. Shit. I don't know what I'm trying to find at this point. It's just sad. And he could cast that again. Yeah, that's such a turn of the tides play. And now he can gain life and escape his Kroxa into play. That's very nice. So yeah, we had a little bit of an awkward play there, and he top decked into Oblivion. Right, he's got lethal next turn. And we get close, right? He almost gets lethal this turn. But he can still easily eat our octopus. We don't have a negate, right? If we had a negate, or he plays Crocs to kill, get the kill. Okay, good game. Oof. Anywho, that was pretty deadly deck. We have a lot of creatures. We have a lot of non-creatures. It's a good mix. I think the Shoreshark is worth its weight. right? The cage to shut down Luris. And do we want life gain? I guess the mystical disputes can go. He's not playing blue. And we're better off to take like the negate and the stroke. Protection from red could help us in blocking Kroxa, but it will still trigger. And he doesn't have much other red. I'm also not entirely sure how much the serpents are protected when this deals 5 damage to something. So I think the serpents can go. I'd rather play the Drake, to be honest, or just be pushing Kroxa as it's cast. Right, with Aether Gust, potentially. Or we take his Kroxa with Erasure. That's probably a good play here. And I guess maybe the Aether Gust. How important was protection from red? Oh, not much because he has black removal. Yeah, let's let it rip. Playing first could help us. I don't know, you guys. This is greedy. Like, that's not a good mix of cards whatsoever. It's not always good to stack value on one. We do need counterspells to protect it, is the thing, right? It's a balance. At least we're drawing land. Robber's a good play here. We can Sailor in with an Octopus. Non-creature. Oops. They're all creatures, my friend. Now, if only that play wins us the game somehow. Am I right? Kill the booter. And our turn. Any removal here, we're screwed. We can basically flash our Cutthroat in and repeat the process, though. Or our Borrower. Probably do Borrower. Maybe let's go Cutthroat. It's got higher endgame value if we can get it out early. The Dragonfire, which is fine. We couldn't do anything about it anyways. Which is the sitch. Wow. Any removal, we're screwed. He gets to take it from the top of our library here. Times 2. Oof. Pushing his robber back, and then we're able to attack through. We're doing good, considering, right? Totally tapped, again, 100% open to removal. Right? Feels pretty bad. Don't do it. Play your creatures, bring Luris back into play, right? Stuff like this. No removal, baby. No removal. Just play creatures. A Stonecoil Serpent, perfect. If he didn't have removal this turn, he's not going to have it next turn. Double draw. That cage. That cage, boys. No removal. We're going to start holding up counterspell magic here. Robert is good. And then play your Luris into your hand. The Serpent, totally fine. We bounce both of these creatures. And we hit for another 5. And we draw 3 cards. Woof. So we're coming back here. We have Aether Gust to hold up. There's a nice draw. No 3-spell counter, so let's just play the cage and shut down his deck. For the most part. Luris is dead card now. Not that he really needs it. I mean, does the cage shut down? Yeah, Call of the Death Dweller. And he's pushing it harder. The robber is fine. He can have from the top. I don't think he gets it even. Does he have removal? But we can only... Yeah, it could be that red card, and we need to hold up the Aether Gust for that. Can't be countered. What if we're not countering it? What if we're just putting it on his library? Right? That's not a counter. It should work. Huh? Ah? Okay. We're totally set up here. That is a professional grade Aether Gust. Yeah, it's fine. It can't be countered. Nice. He can attack. I don't care. Take the card off the top. See if I care, bruh. It was a land anyways. Oh, he needs to play the Reach. But still, that's no problem for us. Easily dealt with. Just need to wait to his end step. We have a Borrower and a Sailor, which does the deal. With 3 mana. We'll have 1 to spare. That's end turn. Ooh. Okay, so we do wait till our turn to bounce it because he could have removal and we need to hold up the negate. We can opt here. Land goes, we pull another. And yeah, here's this negate that we needed to hold up I was talking about. That gets dealt with. And then we just go in with the borrower here. Robber's tapped, and that's game. Woof. Whew. Okay, so we came back, we won. He's on the play though here, I think. He really did not like that Pouncing Shoreshark. And that Aether Gust was clutch, so that Aether Gust has to come in. Do we surprise him? It doesn't target us though, it targets our creatures, so that's kind of annoying. Flash flag, we could just try to aggro him out. The life wasn't too much of an issue. What do we drop is the question. Did he have anything for a greater? No, so I don't think the disdainful stroke is good. Right? We didn't see anything. Then we get to keep our counter creature spells, which still hold some value. Hopefully he lets us play first. It's a lot of land, but we have our combo. What do we want to use Ashiok's Erasure on? What do we use Ashiok's Erasure on? I don't know. Let's see. Let's risk it for the biscuit. We've made. Oh. Oh, no. How do you get around that, right? Turn one duress on the play. Boom, baby. Gotcha. All right, we're off to a tough start. Should I play that first? He still would have less than us, though. Being on the play is an incredibly helpful thing. Let's go big. Hopefully we can just get into the Shoreshark and start bouncing these little bitty creatures. We do not need more land. Come on, boys. We need counter spells. That might be game. Well, we can start bouncing, but... Actually, should have waited till it's end step for that. That's my bad. He could burn it now. He's tempoing on his robber. No, okay. Let's do it. I'll hit him. If we can keep the Shoreshark alive, get our puss on him, we're gonna be okay. He's just playing as the creature. Good play. The rest takes nothing. I'm the owner. Let's take that back. And let's keep pushing the damage race. Oh my lord. Okay, we have our essence capture. He's down to 3. Let's counter that. And then we put a counter on our Shoreshark. Pushes it to 4. Could escape his black aura, that -3/-3 Myers Grasp. Harpooner gets the kill on us, though. Definitely. Nice trade. Gets our negate. Dang it. Whoops. I guess he would have had none anyways. Let's go recast it. And this is still a creature spell. So the negate doesn't work either. Let's get a good draw here. A Pouncing Shoreshark with Flash? That might be a good game. Wow. We have 6 mana. We can do both. He gets a negate, which stops our Quench. We need him to attack the robber. This is perfect. Oh no, the Brineborn. Shit. That'll save him. If we make him pay 2, he still has 3 available. We could just try and take the draw. Hopefully he tries to go with the Myers Grasp. Yeah, okay. We get the counter because the Cutthroat, which dodges it. Goes over top. Becomes a pretty big body now. Then we bounce Luris back. And then we counter the Cutthroat. We get the counter, pushes us up to 4. We're 1 shy. Right? We are 1 shy. Essence Capture on Luris might save us. Oh my lord, is that clutch or what? The cage is also super duper clutch right here. Wow. Let's not be too on the horn here. If we pull a mutate, if we pull a Shoreshark, we can bounce both his creatures. If we pull any mutate, we can bounce his knight. If not, it's trouble. The Fairy and the Gus are both incredible. He can toss Death Touch on it. But then we only take 2 damage. But then he gets to draw. No, I'll have 0 cards in hand. He won't get to draw. This is too big brain for me, guys. Both creatures die. He gets to hit for 2. Tap his robber. Before his attack phase. He still gets to play it with reach, though. We're going to use the Aether Gust to bounce it. Yes. Oh, no, 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 no. We should have waited for him to attack. Oh! He gets to play it before his attack phase with haste. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. We had to win, you guys. We had the Aether Gust to bounce it and the Borrower to play. I guess he would have taken our... No, we have 0 cards in our hand. Oops. What do you do, right? A lot of these tempo games do come down to really clutch games like that. It happens to the best of us, right? Try your best and you'll learn from your mistakes, right? That's how we roll here. Fail, learn, repeat. Okay. Oh, mono blue tempo used to be good. We kind of seen it fade away. Mono red took over. I think mono blue tempo is back. This deck is disgusting, and we don't even have a ton of new cards within the deck, right? Unsubstantiate is a new card. I think that's really it. So this is tried and true Ikoria-based mono blue tempo that still works very, very good. Even when we look at the sideboard, we've got no new cards here. So this is an older deck for sure, but nonetheless, a pretty new deck, and a lot of the key components are sticking around after rotation. So for the most part, this is a rotation-proof deck. We do lose a few things, but we have new pieces added every single day. So you guys, this was Mono Blue Tempo. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm live on Twitch every single morning, 6 a.m. Mountain Standard. Then we go on, YouTube, 6 a.m. Mountain Standard. And then we're on to Twitch at 7 a.m. Mountain Standard. Discord for the remainder of the day. Links for everything in the description below. I think this was a really cool deck, but we're going to start trying to make rotation-proof shells for you guys for the remainder of the set. Get all of the beginners ready to tackle a new rotation period after the renewal season, which is a lot of fun. So be sure to stick around. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you're notified of all of our future uploads. And yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care. Peace.